What's up, guys? We're back with another Masters of the Universe Masterverse review, taking a look at the most recent, oversized figure. Not necessarily a deluxe, because he doesn't come with a bunch of outfits, but we got a larger figure today. We're taking a look at the brand new ETERNIA Too Bad, and this guy is, at least for now, Target only. He's kind of like a first release like they did with Beastman not too long ago. So, of course, being a bigger figure, he also gets a bigger box. So it's a slightly oversized package with our weird trapezoidal shape, Eternian hieroglyphics and all that stuff all over it. We got some really good artwork of Too Bad on the spine and some really cool artwork of him on the back, along with a cross-sell for the most recent wave and a bio for our two-headed guy. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, our Masterverse Too Bad. Maybe the first Masterverse figure in the entire line so far that has made me question, do we finally have a better Masterverse figure than a Classics figure? And while I don't think there's much of anything in this line that's ever going to truly top Classics for me personally, this is a really, really good Too Bad. Probably the best figure in the line at this point, I would say right now. There is a lot that they have done really, really well with this guy, and just in general feels like, you know, a better Masterverse figure, if that makes any sense. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. He is, of course, different, but he's still very much normal when it comes to Masterverse. So we've got two heads. They have pretty normal range though, so they look up, they can swivel. They are a little crooked, so your swivel is going to be kind of weird. They basically look inward at each other. And then you've got some really good down, really good up, no bobble or shimmy or anything like that. Arms go out at the shoulders about that far. They rotate. We've got our bicep swivel. We've got double jointed elbows, pretty good range, nothing to write home about. Pinless as usual. You've got your wrist hinge, you've got rotation. Torso is really where I was most interested about this guy, because Masterverse torsos aren't the most dynamic. They move, but they don't move very well. You actually have some pretty good diaphragm cut here. He goes backwards and forwards a little bit. It does swivel. There's no rubber banding or anything like that. It actually wants to hold its pose. And then you've still got a waist twist down here. Legs go out all the way, and they are ratcheted too. So he's got pretty stable legs. You kick forward all the way, kick backward all the way. You've got your thigh twist. We've got double jointed knees here, pinless again as usual. It's kind of boxy looking, but it works really well for range. We've got a boot cut, and we've got hinge and rocker down at the ankle. Rocker is a little bit limited on the left leg, your right, but much more posable on the left, or the right, your left. Because, of course, they are different parts entirely and have a little bit different range. But he is, I mean, he has all of the same things that every other figure in this line has, but for something that's this bulky and this big, and of course having a massive chest, two heads, that whole deal, he does move so much better than I really expected him to. I think visually is certainly where I was most curious about this figure, because at least from the, the moment we saw this guy's reveal, it was like, okay, there is definitely something going on with this figure that seems to be a little bit more than usual, just a cut above. There's so much to this figure. I suppose it's very much in the same way that people reacted to the new Beastman that we got, because they very much did go all out on him. And this is more of the same, but I think even more so. He's a huge figure, and we're going to do size comparisons and specifically going to compare to the Classics, because I mean, Classics is a big line, and this guy is towering over a lot of figures. He's really big, and of course he is fully asymmetrical. What I really like about him is just how vivid these colors are. I mean, this blue all the way down him is super bright and vibrant, but he's got a ton of wash all over him. So all of this sort of sinewy, nasty musculature that he's got on the blue side is all sculpted, and then it's got a darker blue wash over top of it. So it really brings it all out, and it just makes it look a lot better than if it were, well, just cast plastic. And then conversely, the purple side is fully sculpted with all the scales. Now, the plastic is blue, the purple side is painted, but it looks fantastic. I'm really happy with the color match between the paint on the chest and the other limbs that basically looks exactly the same. And then there is a black wash over top of that to bring it all out. And then you've got more little things with this guy that really, play up the two-sided of him. So you've got, one shoulder has the armor, the chest armor is entirely different from side to side. It is removable. It does have weapon storage on the back. This little guy can spin around. And then it's cast in like a metallic-y orange, Faker-esque style armor. You've got the, dueling color insignia on the belt. You've got different bangles on the belt down here. So this sort of rivet design versus the cube design over here. You've, of course, got your furry loincloth. There is a standard belt under there, which I'm not a big fan of, but if, just for, sake of having them put together, but if you want to have it off, you can do that because you can take all of this stuff off. If you just want them to have a furry loincloth, you're good. You've got your holster for your gun, and then we've even got asymmetrical armor when it comes to the hands and, of course, the ankles. And then he's got different feet. So he's got a knight's foot down here. He's got a monster foot over on this side. There's a whole bunch that's just different about him, which I really, really like. It just makes him stand out, not to mention the fact that the colors are incredibly bright and vibrant. And then you've got your head sculpts up top, which are very different. So you've got Tuvar and Badra when it comes to, combining them together. And I think the head sculpts look great. I think I prefer Badra's. He looks a lot more evil here, but I like the metallic for the horns, the metallic for the eyebrows. But the piercing red eyes look great. And there's even a wash all over their heads too. So there's a lot of detail. There's a lot of sculpt that's accentuated by a lot of paint wash on this figure. I think he looks fantastic. Really, really nice, classic inspired design, obviously, but with just enough change to make him worth buying, yet another Too Bad. Now, as far as some size comparisons go, we of course have to have another Masterverse figures. We've got the new ETERNIA He-Man here on the right, and you can see that, of course, he's a big figure, but Too Bad is just a bigger figure. He's like double wide, and he's at least a head taller. So there's a lot of size here. But the best comparison for me personally is going to be to the Classics figures. So we've got our Classics Too Bad here on the left. So of course MOTU Classics. And these are big figures to begin with, but Masterverse has been a little bit taller, although maybe not as beefy with every figure. But Too Bad is in a league of his own. So we've got a much taller figure, a much beefier figure. And while I don't know that this necessarily beats the Classics for me, I mean, it's hard to top Classics for me just because of what it is for me. But this is definitely the better figure as far as construction and everything goes. This is definitely an instance where Masterverse, you could say, definitely beats Classics. So that's a really cool comparison. I'm really happy with that. Let's do another 7-inch style figure. So here's a Mythic Legions figure, one of the Deluxe Legion builders. And then let's move He-Man aside. And here is something smaller. Here is a NECA Turtle. And Leo is just tiny by comparison. And then let's do something, well, bigger. So we'll move the Mythic Legions aside. And here is the Controller Build-A-Figure from Marvel Legends. You can see that Too Bad is pretty close to this. I mean, he's not as thick all the way around, but he's very, very close. A little bit taller than the Controller still, though. And then let's go one more. Here is another Hasbro figure. Here is a G.I. Joe Classified Cobra Trooper or Cobra Infantry, something like that, one of those guys. So you can see what he looks like next to a normal Hasbro 6-inch figure. So yeah, Too Bad's big. He's got some bulk, he's got some depth and width, but he's really got a lot of height. He's going to have a lot of presence on your shelf because of how big he is in conjunction with this wacky color scheme. Now, accessory-wise, Too Bad does have a pretty solid spread, and, that makes sense. He's a larger, oversized, higher price point kind of figure, so we should have a few extra things. And he does. He doesn't include the one thing that I was really hoping they were going to include, but we will get to that. Not a deal breaker by any means. So to start with, we get his little gun, which I've had on him for the most part so far. Just sort of shiny, pearlescent kind of plastic. Goes in the holster here that hangs off of the belt. Now, again, the belt is a separate piece that you can take off. If you want to be more vintagey, you can take that belt off, but then you're going to lose the holster. Works fine. He can hold it okay. We get two different maces for him. So you get one that is themed to the purple side and one that is themed to the blue side. The blue side is green, but that matches the things on his belt. And then the purpley, pinkish one matches the armor for the purple side. There is no paint on either of these, and it's all done up in this sort of swirly, pearlescent, metallic-esque plastic, but it does look pretty good. We get a double-sided axe that is, again, themed to the character. And there's a lot of that through this figure. So on the torso with the armor and then the belt buckle. And this is mostly relying on the belt buckle. So you've got the matching parts here as far as like the griffin kind of thing and the dragon. So different style of blades. It's not as metallic-y or pearlescent as the other stuff, but it does have a little bit of paint for the grips and like the wraps on it down at the bottom. It's very much battle worn. And then we get his signature shield, which again is very much themed. So it's tied into the chest armor. So you've got the squares on one side, the circles on the other, more of that Faker-esque metallic orange. And he can hold this thing really well. It fits on his arm very, very nicely. It is definitely more themed to be held in his left arm, just based on how the straps are in play there. And then we get a couple extra hands too. So he's got gripping hands on him in the box, and then we get 2 fists. Thankfully, we don't get any of those weird like shield holding flat open palm hands. The one thing that I was really hoping he was going to get was that weird sort of 2000X too bad weapon, the weird double-sided mace thing. You know, the classics figure came with it also, but ultimately not really a big deal because we do get these. So you can have him dual-wielding maces if you want, or you can have him be, you know, more classic with just the shield if you want to go vintage style. So a lot of options with this guy and just a lot of very different accessories. So yeah, overall, I mean, dare I say this is the best Masterverse figure thus far. I really don't know that there's a lot of competition beyond this guy. He really is the culmination of a lot of things that they've improved on with this line since it started, just all in one package. Paint, sculpt, details, size. I mean, I can't stress enough, he's a really big figure, he's beefy, he's chunky, and he feels like he should be this kind of, you know, huge monstrosity type of character, and it comes through with this figure really well. The accessories don't really have any paint on them, but he comes with a lot of stuff, so I do really like that. I love all this metallic all over him. You can take the belt off if you want to make him be a little bit more vintagey. I still don't like the idea of having 2 belts stacked on top of each other, but it works okay. And then overall, he's just a cool looking figure. I mean, he definitely is like the shining example for me of what this line can be when they just sort of nail everything. So that's going to do it for this look at the Masters of the Universe Masterverse Too Bad. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.